ooh, Born Primitive got to my house.
Yay! So, welcome back to the Food Code. I'm going to leave that in there because Becca goes, if you didn't hear her just right when we started recording, she goes, ooh, Born Primitive got to my house. So, Born Primitive, I am in love with their clothes. And so they were having this big sale a couple weeks ago, and I actually banned myself. I followed it pretty well for 30 days. I didn't order anything. And then they had the sale, and so Becca's telling me how she's ordering, and I'm like, I really want to order. Don't do it. Totally ordered 2 things. Probably another sports bra that I don't need. And then I did get the high-waisted shorts because the high-waist everything is amazing. However, this morning, I got to tell this story. And I'm going to show you the video afterwards. So I was lifting in the garage and I couldn't find the shorts that I wanted to wear. So I have these Fabletics shorts. They're tight. They're high-waisted, but they also go closer to your knee. I just don't
ordered a pair of them from Born Primitive only because I ordered the other pairs that are like 5-inch inseam.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just thick right now. I'm just a little thick with a little pregnancy going on.
She's pregnant, I mean.
And I usually wear the 5-inch inseam totally fine because I love my legs.
Yeah.
I work really hard for them. But I'm worried that they're going to be like too short with the pregnancy situation.
Yeah. Well,
but we'll see. Here's the thing. I'm about minimal clothing right now because I am almost 8 months pregnant. I am 8 months pregnant. I'm sorry. Pregnancies last for 10 months. Fun fact, guys. They're not 9 months. They're 10. I'm 8 months pregnant and I am in 90-degree weather right now. Yes. And it is so fucking hot. And I just I don't want any clothes on because anything on my belly is uncomfortable at this point. And so that's why I ordered the shorts because honestly, even pregnancy shorts right now, first of all, are fugly. There are no cute pregnancy shorts. And second of all, I talked about this on my stories the other day. I ordered a pair from China, which was a horrible decision.
All clothing from China is a horrible decision.
I got conned into those stupid Instagram things. They make them look so cute on the pictures. I ordered an extra large because I was like, well, I'm not petite, but at least the extra large should fit. I could not get them over my thighs. They were stuck around my knees. And I was like, who fits into these? That's an extra large. And so I was like, I'll just get spandex shorts because the good thing, I'll be able to wear these after the baby.
Yeah. We'll see how you like them. The biker shorts that I was wearing, I looked at the videos I have to submit videos to my coach on my lifts, and I'm like, oh no, never again.
I have a feeling I'm not going to love them.
I had my weightlifting belt on too, so that doesn't help because it pushes out that lower belly pooch. But it was just really unattractive because I've been posting more of my lifts lately. Today was just a struggle anyways. But I'm like, yeah, we're not doing this combo again because that was just wasn't cute.
Isn't it such a fun feeling when you get an email that your package is delivered?
Yes.
You're like, yay!
Yes. And then I told Becca shortly after that, I'm like, oh yeah, I did end up ordering 2 items from Born Primitive. And then she's like, yeah, I saw you ordering something else earlier too. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, I saw the email this morning that said it was out for delivery. And I was like, oh, well, it'll probably be another couple of days. But I just got an email that it got delivered. So now I can't wait to get home because I want to try them on because it's 90 degrees outside. Anyways, okay, we need to talk about what happens to our body when we crash diet. And here's the thing, guys. We've talked about this before. We're going to keep talking about it until everyone that listens to us knows that
or until you share this podcast and help
the world
educate other people why crash dieting is hurting you.
Yes, it is not guys. We're going to talk about some things that maybe aren't what we normally talk about either. You've probably heard of some of this. You've probably heard us talk about some of these things, and we'll talk about how to kind of identify it. We get it. We get that you want to feel better fast. We get that you want to get all of this weight off that you aren't comfortable with now. Here's the bottom line. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. Okay. We need to be patient with the process. We need to stop these crash diets, and be realistic with a sustainable life change, okay, which is what we help our clients do. We do not just come on here and talk about it. This is what we implement with all of our clients, are sustainable changes, okay? And sometimes, yes, with our clients, depending on the person, we go a little bit more extreme if necessary based on health, based on needs of that client. But at the end of the day, we need to understand, number one, we're going to say the top 3 things today. Top 3 things that happen when you crash diet. Number one, you could permanently damage your metabolism. I don't like the word damage. You could permanently adapt in a negative way your metabolism, or in turn, what we call kind of our basal metabolic rate.
And before we dive into this, I think it's important to note that these things are extremely important for your long-term health.
Yes.
A lot of people only focus on the short term, 30, 60, 90 days, and what that immediate gratification is going to give them. They don't think about how this can backfire and hurt you in the long run. And not only that, like, crash dieting, in my opinion, is just fucking miserable.
It's horrible.
I mean, there's that. That should be enough for you. But let's dive in and talk a little bit more about why it can potentially permanently lower your basal metabolic rate. So we're going to give this example of The Biggest Loser. You all know The Biggest Loser, where they take very overweight individuals and they put them into a challenge or this contest to see
it's what, like a couple months?
It's a few months. I believe it's 16 weeks if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But they see how fast these people can lose weight, and the slowest person who doesn't hit that 7 pounds lost in a week pretty much gets kicked out. Whoever is, the weakest link or lost the least amount gets kicked out. And so at the end, you have a winner who is deemed the biggest loser. But here's the thing. So this show, I mean, it was on for several years, and people lost massive amount of weights very, very quickly. Okay. And it was all done through extreme exercise. So they have like boot camp every day. You've got, the trainers out there just crushing these people in the gym. And in my opinion, just from a trainer standpoint, it's not safe. And I would never train someone that way, especially for somebody who has not been active or mobile for a very long period of time. It's like, just not safe.
No wonder these people get injured all the time. Like, it's just, and the weight that they have on their joints, and like,
you know what I would love to know, side note, what these people who got kicked off or kicked out of the show, what happened to them in terms of their mindset and just kind of the relationship with food following them years later. Because a lot of them, they have shown where, yes, they went on and they went home and they continued to go to the gym and they continued to implement changes and they lost some weight. And for other individuals, they have shown that they went home, resorted back to old habits because they had just been through this really rigorous, extreme situation. And gained all the weight back plus some. So I want to know, like, from the mental and emotional state, like, where those people landed. But I digress.
We know where they're at from the physical.
We do,
according to the research.
Yep. So according to the research, when they visited the contestants 6 years after the show, the participants' metabolism had vastly slowed down, and their bodies were burning, get this, about 500 calories less on average per day than it would have been expected given their age, their height, and their weight.
That's insane.
500 calories less per day. Wrap your mind around that. That's a pound a week. That's 3,500 calories if you put it into that perspective. They were naturally burning that because of that metabolic adaptation that never rebounded back. And so their metabolism...
This is the problem with extreme diets, guys. It's not just the short term. Like, this can impact things to where we see this actually sadly a lot with women that have been chronically dieting, chronically undereating, to where they've basically adapted their metabolism. And for some people, guys, it does not come back all the way. Like, yes, you can totally work to heal your metabolism to an extent. But if you have done these over and over again, there is a possibility that, like, you could damage this long term. You could get this to a state long term where it's not going to rebound back fully to where it should. So here's the thing. When the body feels threatened by too little food and senses that the food is scarce, it lowers our rate of metabolism to conserve energy. In one study, overweight individuals were actually asked to consume 900 calories per day. Okay? After 3 months, I cannot believe that they actually did that. Like, these studies are making these people sick long term. But anyways,
the starvation studies.
I know,
it's crazy.
I know. Their total daily energy expenditure after 3 months dropped over 600 calories per day. So, like, here, let's put this in perspective. Maybe you never drop calories to 900. You just eat 1,500 calories every day, and you don't deal with this. Like, and the thing that's so frustrating, I was actually listening to something the other day. These, like, medically supervised diets make me so angry. And you guys, I really try not to get, like, emotional about these things. Again, we try not to fearmonger on this. We try not to just be cray-cray. Like, they're a BS. Okay. And I'd love to talk to some, like, maybe you've had a really good experience with them. That's awesome. We actually talked to someone on a podcast a week ago, I believe, a couple weeks ago. He does their system does a great job with this. You're with a health coach or in a medical environment, but most of the time, these quote unquote medically supervised diets where we're taking HCG and doing 800 and less calories a day, you guys, medically supervised basically means that they're making sure you don't die. They're not making sure that your metabolism doesn't adapt. They're not making sure that like you're not dealing with nutrient deficiencies to an extent. Like they're basically making sure you don't bottom out. And so is that really reassuring to me?
Well, here's the thing. They are making sure that you don't die, but they're not making sure that your health is optimal.
Exactly.
And when you say you don't bottom out, they're never really asking individuals like, how is your sleep? How is your energy? You know, how's your sex drive? What's your PMS like? You know, and that's a big problem in my opinion. We've had several people who have gone on a medically driven diet or met with, you know, a registered dietitian who has just given them certain protocols and parameters to follow, but never looked through food logs, never talked to them about their biofeedback. And to me, that's problematic.
Yes.
There are some registered dietitians out there who we know we're friends with who are amazing, and they do that. They kind of bring the holistic, functional world of health coaching to the medical system and pair them together. Yes, we need more of that. But anyways, moving on.
Digress.
Second thing, what happens when we crash diet? Well, when we remove energy from the body, we remove nutrients, and this can show up in terms of nutrient deficiencies. So of all of the things that have been researched, crash dieting and extreme calorie restrictions are at the top of the list in what causes the biggest impact on the metabolism slowing down, like we just talked about, but it also impacts the nutrition deficiencies in the body, which can lead to vitamin, mineral deficiencies that can lead to a variety of health problems. Digestion problems, skin disorder, stunted or defective bone growth, can lead to cognitive issues as well, including dementia. So we talked about that a few weeks ago briefly with Andrew on our podcast, and we linked out that podcast that they did on the cognitive decline of people who have been crash dieting. So this is where we kind of go wrong with these extremes, is because not only do we restrict calories so hard, but then we restrict all of these food groups. So whether or not it is that you've removed all fats or all carbs, you need to understand that both of those food groups, those macros, there's a reason that they are called macronutrients, are important to the body. They play crucial roles in your brain health. They also play crucial roles in your hormonal health. Okay. And so when we're regularly eating such little calories, we just don't even have those nutrients available to the body. And that is if we are actually eating the 1,200 calories from one ingredient whole foods. Most people aren't doing that, right? Like, let's take Optavia for example. They're doing the 5-in-1 plan. They're doing these processed 100-calorie snacks 5 times a day and then eating one meal of real food. That is absolutely not enough. And I don't give a shit how much fortification or
I was
advertising
they're fortified, right? They've got added nutrients.
It's not enough for the body. I mean, it's literally synthetic minerals.
Yes, and your body can't use them when it's not adequately nourished, guys. Like, for instance, these calorie-restricted diets may not provide sufficient amounts of iron, folate, vitamin B12. This can lead to anemia, extreme fatigue. I wonder why when you eat so little, you're so exhausted. Yes, calories are a role, but the minerals are a huge role for this too. In addition to the number of, carbs that you eat playing a role in fatigue, all of these things play a role. Some studies suggest that calorie-restricted diets with low amounts of carbs also cause these feelings of fatigue and just like cravings, because your body is needing nourishment. Cravings happen because your body is asking for nourishment. It is not like, oh, chocolate, I need chocolate. No, your body deep down is like, I need these nutrients. I need these minerals. I'm going to try to get you to want the most calorie dense, highly palatable foods, because hopefully those will give it to me. Unfortunately, the body is not smart enough to go make you crave broccoli and fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and grass-fed meat. No, the body's going to try to get you to get the most calories in the shortest amount of time. And in today's world, that looks like chocolate, that looks like chips, that looks like these things. And so diets may include other nutrient deficiencies too. Protein. Not eating enough protein-rich foods can have huge issues. This can cause muscle loss, hair thinning, brittle nails. So, like, a lot of these things are associated with different things. Calcium, not eating enough calcium-rich foods. You guys, calcium doesn't just come from dairy. A lot of people are like, well, dairy. Like, that's what I need. I need more dairy. Not necessarily. Calcium comes from dark leafy greens, probably the most. You can get tofu. Certain organic tofus are great for calcium. And then fortified milks are awesome. So we recommend full-fat dairy for most people.
Organic,
grass-fed, full-fat dairy. The more fat you remove from dairy, the more sugar they add. And so we like to do full-fat just to reduce that sugar, because the sugar tends to be what what irritates people with lactose issues, not necessarily like the actual milk. Biotin and thiamine. So low intake of whole grains, legumes, eggs, dairy, nuts, seeds, basically what your diet should be made of, may limit your intake of these 2 B vitamins, potentially resulting in muscle weakness, hair loss, and scaly skin. So again, skin, hair, muscle, all the things that make you look beautiful.
Yes.
We're not getting.
We're not getting. And then let's talk about our immune system. Like there's other nutrients that we need to help improve the immune system and boost that. So vitamin C, vitamin A, not eating enough vitamin A rich foods such as like organ meats, fish, again, full fat dairy, leafy greens, there they are again, and orange colored fruits and vegetables can actually weaken your immune system. And it can lead to permanent eye damage as well. So, this is something that, as I mentioned earlier, we don't think about long-term in terms of longevity, and we need to be doing that. So the last one here that we want to cover is magnesium, and we're going to be doing another podcast all around magnesium very soon because magnesium is literally the miracle mineral. Okay.
And it's the most, I would say it's the most deficient in today's diet. Sorry, adjusting in this chair if you hear that in the background, getting a little numb in the foot. Magnesium is the most deficient in the soil of, I think, all nutrients, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and when we're really stressed, we burn through higher levels of magnesium as well. And so we know that everyone is burning through magnesium, and they're pretty much magnesium depleted or insufficient magnesium because they are stressed all the time. That's just the world we live in. So where do you find magnesium? So magnesium-rich foods, whole grains, nuts, leafy greens, and magnesium can help tremendously with so many of these symptoms that some people experience. So fatigue can help with muscle cramping, joint pain, PMS symptoms, abnormal heart rhythms, and just overall kind of energy and drive for life throughout the day because it also interplays with over 300 enzymatic functions in the body. We need magnesium. So this is actually one supplement that we do recommend to majority of our clients because again, if you are really stressed or you're having, some of these other symptoms show up, those are all signs that you need added magnesium.
Yep. So number 3 thing that happens when we crash diet, I'm just going to say you start to feel shitty. And I think we talked about last week on Friday Fire about the forcing of things. Last week, this week, I'm not really sure when this is going to go up. So I apologize if I just gave a little preview into what it's going to be Friday Fire. But either way, here is where I see people try to force things. They're in this low calorie deficit because they want to lose weight fast. You start feeling shitty and you're like, I have to push through, right? I have to push through these feelings because I need to lose this weight. And so you push through things like brain fog, things that your body is basically talking to you, sending smoke signals, and you are ignoring. Brain fog, cravings, low sex drive, poor or disrupted sleep, digestive issues, hormonal issues, stubborn weight loss. Like all of us are like, I just have to try harder. I just have to eat less. I just have to push more. And then we continue seeing these symptoms compound, and then we end up with dysfunction. And so the biofeedback suffers when we do these crash diets. And you guys, sure, some of this stuff could totally be rebounded. Like we talked about in the beginning, though, some of these things trigger autoimmune issues. And the first thing that we talk about is thyroid, okay? So the thyroid gland hormones. Our thyroid is basically one of the main control centers of our metabolism. And it is a very sensitive, it is a very fragile system. It gets impacted very easily, okay? It helps us make energy, feel great, burn body fat, all those things, But your thyroid is also a host to a number of different hormones, okay? So we're not going to get into all of this, but basically your body has TSH. That's what most people test with blood work. That's kind of just the signal. That is the signal of your body to be like, we need to create thyroid hormone, okay? Then we have T4 and T3. T4 is about 90% of thyroid hormone. It's floating around in our bloodstream, and it kind of is floating around waiting to get taken up into cells for use, and then the conversion happens within the liver and the gut to T3. Okay, so T4 converts to T3. T3 is our active form, and T4 is kind of just floating around until it's needed, okay? T3, like I said, is our active form, though. So this is huge with metabolic rate. This is our, basically what makes you feel good, okay? When the thyroid is properly supported with adequate nourishment, adequate calories, adequate carbohydrates, it shows increases in these active levels of, circulating thyroid hormone, all right? Which means an increase in metabolic rate. You feel better. When you cut calories, when you cut carbohydrates, you actually get less of this active form of thyroid. This is why we see so many women today after crash dieting, after running their body into the ground with thyroid issues, because it impacts your thyroid permanently for some people.
It's pretty crazy. You know, the fastest way to kill your thyroid is to chronically diet and undereat.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
And again,
overstress.
A lot of people wonder why they feel so crappy and they think that they have all these thyroid issues, but they're not willing to eat more. And that's the number one thing that majority of our clients with thyroid issues have done. And they feel so much better.
So much better. It's crazy.
More. Yep. All right. Let's talk about another hormone that gets impacted. And this is your satiety hormone known as leptin. Okay. It's a huge player in how we store fat and how many calories that you burn throughout the day and how many you eat throughout the day because of cravings. So calorie restriction is actually shown to decrease the amount of leptin produced, meaning that you don't get as full as easily. Your body's not getting that signal from that satiety hormone to signal that you are full. So in this scenario, like, it's kind of unique. Leptin is a very unique hormone because a lot of people out there who have dieted actually start to adapt and not feel hungry. Some people crave things though. So they crave and they feel like, you know, the less that they eat, the more that they crave. It's quite a delicate dance here.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So this is just one thing is like, I was actually reading an article a few weeks ago and it was talking about like, even one night's sleep can put us into like this insulin resistance, but it can also skew your hunger and satiety hormones each way by about 15 to 20%. So you are not getting as full as easily, and then you are craving more and more things. So that kind of just, you know, leads to a situation where you're trying to do this diet, but you can't adhere to it. And then it's like this yo-yo kind of back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially what happens though, if you've dieted for a long time and leptin is down regulated, you get to this place where you're no longer hungry. You've lost all of your hunger cues. And that's not a good place to be. Like, hunger cues and signals are important and we want them. And this can also wreak havoc on our blood sugar levels too and result in storing more fat. It's like one of those things where it's just like a wrecking ball because the times that we do get hungry, then we're craving all of the things. And at that point in time, things have gone haywire so bad physiologically that we end up making like really poor decisions. So let's think about like you get that hangry craving and then it's just like I'm eating all of the things and you're just like stuffing yourself. That's actually a hormonal response in the body.
Yeah. And leptin's kind of crazy. We talked to Andrew about this. Andrew was our friend that was on the podcast the other day. He talked about how leptin is basically what they used as like a drug because they believed obviously, okay, this hormone leptin makes people, feel full. So let's just create a drug off of it and make people, reduce appetite. But what it does is it can create leptin resistance to where now you're never full and you're always hungry, and then it like backfires. Kind of crazy. But anyways, another hormone that gets impacted, testosterone. So testosterone, females, we want testosterone. We want it. We do not get as much of it as males. I wish we got more of it. It would make weight loss a lot easier, I promise. But this hormone is obviously known for its role in increasing muscle mass. It helps to increasing, as we know, muscle mass helps increase metabolic rate. Okay? More muscle mass we have, faster metabolic rate we tend to have. All right? So we want more muscles. But testosterone has also shown links in fat tissue regulation. Okay? So what this means is that when we have proper levels of testosterone, it makes it harder for our body to create fat cells. Okay? Although, in a calorie deficit, guess what decreases? Testosterone. All right? And when it gets super low, we store body fat. Zero sex drive, very little energy. It can actually lead to higher fat storage. Okay? And the last hormone here, cortisol. Cortisol gets a bad rep. Just like cortisol is very necessary within the body. Inflammation is necessary within the body, but we need it in small amounts. Okay. What does a constant calorie deficit or dieting do? It creates chronically elevated levels of cortisol. Okay. Which in turn leads our body to breaking down muscle instead of fat and then storing it in the good old belly. Okay. Cortisol, our belly is like a warm home for cortisol receptors. All right. And so all of those things that we get stressed about, we get the stress belly. And it also results in high blood pressure, fatigue, mood swings, irritability, and even insulin resistance. I feel like I'm a drug commercial. Like, the drug commercials that are like, they talk really fast through all the side effects and it's like, and even death. And you're like, wait, what?
I really want to take that pill now.
I know, but this is cortisol. This is what cortisol will do in the body, and this is why this is why stress is the root of dysfunction. Stress is the root of disease, and we need to learn to manage it. And guess what? We can control the stress that can come from calories and under eating by eating more. Sometimes the other stresses in our life we can't always control, but we can control the stress of under eating, and that is by taking in more nourishing foods.
Yes. So, sorry, I was like having
Liz had to take a little hiatus from talking because she was choking.
A little bit of a coughing attack. I feel like I have this itch in the left side of my throat, and like I can't get it. I don't know if anybody out there has ever had that before, but it's like hits you at the wrong time.
Yep.
Anyways, so what do we do? What's a girl to do, right? Well, let's take a evaluation of how much you're eating and take it one step further. Evaluate not just, the calories and the balance of those calories in terms of protein, carbs, and fats, but evaluate the quality of it as well. Look at how many one ingredient foods that you are consuming comparative or relative to the processed foods. Processed foods is going to be anything that has a label on it and is not made from animals, plants, or coming from the ground. Okay? Evaluate that. That's step number 1. Start to work towards more of a whole foods diet, one ingredient whole foods, again, no labels here, and then slowly work your way up to your maintenance. 10 to 15% increase in calories every week is generally what we find works well for some individuals. For some people, they go a little bit slower. For some people, they go a little bit faster. But this is really where we would recommend if you have been chronically dieting and you've been doing, these drastic crash diets, you need to stop. Let's get consistent. Let's sit at maintenance for a while and then work with somebody and go through fat loss phases. Start to periodize your nutrition while working on nourishing your body and losing fat at the same time. There's a big difference between weight loss and fat loss, right? And what we aim to do with our clients is to help them lose fat and optimize health at the same time so that they can live a long and healthy life and not leave this air quote, diet phase feeling like shit and, in a worse off spot than when they started. So those are kind of our tips for you today. We've talked about this before, but if you need to, kind of estimate your maintenance, we always recommend going to totaldailyenergyexpenditure.com, TDEE calculator. No, it's tdeecalculator.net.
Yep.
Sorry. Go there, plug in your stats, and evaluate. Like, what is your basal metabolic rate? What's your maintenance based upon, your activity estimated? This is just an estimate. There is no specific, perfect calculation for this. This is an estimate. And then compare that to how much you're consuming right now, and then start to work towards your maintenance and start to work towards a one ingredient whole foods diet to make sure that you're being nourished. So with that, we're going to wrap it up and we will talk to you all very soon.